architects are doing a lot of harm to a lot of other architects, especially in the
Yes.
young generation. So some students would go ask AI how to design, come up with this, new building, and they would go draw that.
Hi everyone, welcome to PA Talks, a podcast where we dive deep into the ever-evolving world of architecture, design, and technology. I'm Hamid Hassanzadeh, your host on this captivating journey. Today we're honored to host Alper Derinbogaz, an acclaimed architect celebrated for reshaping traditional architectural thought. Alper's visionary approach integrates environmental dynamics with spatial design, which is evident in his diverse works like the Museum of Istanbul. As the founder of Salon, listed among the best architectural practices in the world, and a Fulbright scholar, Alper's influence extends beyond design to academia, where he inspires future architects at Pratt Institute. His contributions recognized globally with the awards like Green Good Design and European 40 Under 40 have been featured in major publications and exhibitions, including the Venice Architecture Biennale. Also, Alper's recent publication, Geospaces, encapsulates his innovative philosophy. Join us as we explore Alper's groundbreaking journey, exploring his unique blend of scientific strategy with his architectural creativity. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive the future updates. Now let's get into the episode. Okay, great. Thanks, Alper, for coming to PA, and this is nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Likewise. So, how was New York?
It's great. How bad it can be, right? New York was nice. It was fun.
Yeah, you were there to teach at Pratt. So, how was the teaching experience in Pratt?
It was teaching and a couple of sidekicks.
Okay.
Let's say we
You
have
did
we
some.
have some projects
You
going
did
on.
some side hustling as well.
Side hustling, like we always have kind of projects. So I think we try to group things
Okay.
as much as possible. But yeah, teaching was a major part in New York. It was great. Like it was an honor to be kind of the Pratt has this kind of position yearly. They will have people from around the world, international practices, so practicing architects performing in academics and discuss advanced research topics. So it is not like a classical studio. I think we would combine a lot of the traditions with kind of up and coming ideas. So it is a lot research oriented. I really like doing that. I mean, in practice, we do kind of the potential intersection of the future and now. But in the studios, you could go beyond the time, or you could go back. You can mix and match different time zones. So
Yeah.
time periods in the making. So that is always exciting.
I saw some of the students' works that you shared in your Instagram stories. They were basically fantastic. What was the agenda? What was the topic for these studios that you taught there?
So it's called Leisure Institute.
Legion.
Leisure Institute.
Leisure Institute.
Leisure, like the free time.
Okay.
The Free Time Institute. The reason it's called Leisure Institute is it is about a future that we potentially have a lot of time through AI technologies. Hopefully, when they take over all the bureaucratic things and stuff going on.
Our coffee. So that's fine. Yeah, we need a lot of coffee in the office. So you don't have to even cut this, so we can go.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Love it. Leisure Institute. Yeah, we kind of focus on a feature that we potentially have a lot of free time, which we know is not true. I mean, every time there's a technological leap, humanity end up having less time somehow. But in idea, we could have a lot of time and think about the major questions because I think all the daily hustles and work-oriented life is much more about escaping from these major problems. So we hopefully have a future where we can think about bigger questions, reflect on things, contemplate, think about the meaning of the life and stuff. So that's what we aim
So it
for.
was mostly like a methodology based studio where a student had to design a leisure-based leisure institution, leisure spending their time. And so, what was the results? Were they as expected? Were the results as you were expecting them, and as you taught them? Were there any wow projects that you liked and get new ideas from it as well? Because students are the main source of inspiration. They can be somehow creating new things that we didn't even imagine. As an instructor, I taught in some universities too, and also in our academy. Sometimes we see from our students stuff that we couldn't even imagine, and they're just mind-blowing. Did you have any kind of mind-blowing or wow projects from the students?
There are a lot, actually. Yeah, a lot of interesting projects, and we didn't know what was gonna come out because this is the first time we are trying this kind of methodology. Because we started with using also AI techniques in the process, but as you know, AI is not up there into three-dimensional form development, or it's like far away from the architectural design notion. So we kind of use them in between steps. So we kind of knowingly lost control over some of the designs we are working. So that, I think, resulted in really interesting stuff. And we kind of designed the studio in a way that you want to go with the flow, to say, and discover new things in the process. So students that were able to feel confident about losing the control a bit and following the steps and trying to see what is going to happen, kind of succeeded in the
Interesting.
overall process. That will be the studio that I wanted to be in. So that's the
Nice.
way that we wanted to design the studio.
Yeah, definitely. Students, I'm sure that students were privileged to have an instructor like you
I hope so.
to learn from. But
And I'm privileged to have such students.
you studied also at UCLA and a master's degree, is that correct?
Yeah. I did masters in UCLA. It was I mean, schools change in time. A school is not gonna stay the same throughout the whole time. I think it was a special moment when I had the chance. It's always special in different terms, probably, but so Greg Lim was there, CV11, Michael Speaks, Frank Gehry, Tom Main. It was kind of Marcin Gao. Hernan Diaz would come to our reviews and stuff. So it was kind of a hot spot in terms of up and coming designers and discussions.
Yeah. And what do you see the future of architecture education and the advancements of this technology? And somehow everyone is feeling like the education is a little bit falling behind in terms of keeping up with the pace of advanced technologies emerging with architecture. Do you think the education right now we have, is it enough to prepare the students for the job markets, for the practice, for everything that offices needed? Do you think it's enough right now?
I think it's a great question.
Yeah.
The one thing I just remember you asking the question is that some students would know PA Academy.
Oh,
And
that's great.
they attended to your workshops, if I'm not mistaken, or they followed a couple of
Yes.
your things. So it was really interesting to get to see some students that actually know certain tools, not through school but through PA,
Yes.
your platform, and they could kind of practice that in the studio, and other students would learn from them. Kind of is an interesting thing you need to
Yes.
look at. So Yes, I think schools need to change a lot. I think schools are aware of that also. Um, it is maybe not as agile. Like you will apply to an architecture school. It's gonna take like a year or 2 years to get in, and then the curriculum is already designed like a year ago or whatsoever, and then they probably the practitioners take the previous concepts and kind of keep doing the similar things. So I think there's a lot of lag between what's happening and what could happen. And yeah, I'm curious how things are gonna evolve.
Yeah.
But definitely there's some opening, and I think you guys are doing a great job
Yeah, thank you.
acknowledging that.
Yeah, what we try to do is mostly to cover the gap that is that we see in the architecture profession, that there's a huge gap between practice and education. We're trying to cover that part by bringing people from pioneering designers, pioneering architects, who can teach a short version of education and let other people to access this information and knowledge. And this is something that we've been doing in the last 4 years, and we have received a huge amount of appreciation among the architecture community and design community. But yes, so far we also see some things that architecture schools are missing. We're trying to fill up that gap. That's good to know this from you as well, and hear about PA Academy from Pratt. Some students were attending. And I just want to ask about Geospaces. What is Geospace? I received this book over a year ago, and I read it. But the things that you're describing about the project and everything looks really great. Maybe you can give us a brief introduction of a brief summary of this book. What is this book about? What are you trying to talk about inside? What are the methodologies that you apply in the projects? It's a great book. It's with essay by Graham Harman and also forwarded by Luca Molinari. And yeah, maybe you can give us a little bit of a summary.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up. Geospaces is important to us. It kind of is a summary in itself
Okay.
about our last 10 years,
Yeah.
10 years of practice. So, and it is written in a kind of easygoing way. So it's not heavy rhetoric kind of book, but we rather wanted to have kind of a flowing content. So that's that. But it is about a idea. I think it also is a local idea. I don't, I don't look at it. We try to look at architectures in a broader perspective. So because when we look at architecture in the classical sense, we keep going back to the Greek architecture or Roman architecture, and then we kind of assign certain architectural elements with kind of temples and the classical architecture by the time and so on. So if you look at it, it is kind of an distancing object on top of ground. Whereas we try to look at architecture in a larger context, beginning with let's say Göbekli Tepe, the cave cities in Cappadocia or Çatalhöyük, where you don't see any kind of hierarchical structures. So they are like more eco spaces, the spaces that are more democratic, let's say. But we kind of that since they are not represented as much, and maybe I kind of am born in this kind of geography. I think there's a big spot that we are missing in the reading of the architecture and imagining for the future. So I think we try to imagine future through this kind of geo-related architectural strategies through those kind of historic, really far historic architectural cases, and then we try to project to the future through that. Because in relationship with the earth, I mean, if you look at it in the classical sense, the architecture is about building something on an object on ground. But sometimes you don't need to build. Sometimes you need to kind of modify the surface, modify the earth just to generate spaces, or sometimes you will use geothermal energy and stuff. So you will have a more close relationship with the ground. I think there is a really immensely beautiful knowledge by the time, which we lost and which we can consider and do amazing things with the today's technology. So I think the book is mainly about that in a very simple term, and it discusses the idea through our couple of our projects that we designed. We are not. I'm in the academy somehow, but I think the best way we represent is ideas is through projects. So it talks about a couple of our major projects that we enjoyed doing.
Yeah, I've seen some of your projects definitely, and Museum of Istanbul, and it's a great example of it. And you're also open for different type of ideas, and or always in exploration. And I know personally that you're also interested in technology. This is good that you always follow, and you're open for exploration of different possibilities. Yeah, congratulations! Like, the book is amazing. And where does the name come from? Geospaces.
It's geological timeline is becoming more and more important for us. Like we try to remember that we try to kind of remind that humankind is such a small. We have such a small existence in the whole geological timeline. Is almost we are almost temporary, and I think we wanted to emphasize that. So it has something to do with the geological timeline, and also we kind of look at certain architectures where we manipulate the geology and then generate some kind of strategies for architecture. So it kind of is a play between.
Yeah. Talking about, you mentioned about the historic places in Turkey, and where do you see contemporary architecture in Turkey?
Contemporary architecture. Good question. I think there are interesting examples in smaller scales. I think there could have been many more examples. I don't know why is that not happening, because maybe we are the fastest building in the region, the fastest building
Generation country.
Yeah, I mean, there are like thousands of structures coming up. The good examples are quite small, very few in numbers. And the good examples usually try to engage the local fabrication techniques, but not becoming too traditionalist or too much conventional side of the architecture, but they try to kind of innovate through existing local practices. So I think there are many examples.
Yeah, nice. And as you lived in New York, and also you studied in LA, and you have been also other parts of the world, if you want to compare Istanbul as a metropole city, let's say, to a New York, with Istanbul with so many of its rich culture, history, rich architecture, it's in different aspects, and also if we imagine New York as the center or the heart of the financial of the world, and what are the similarities between New York and Istanbul, and what are the differences and challenges that could be solved, some of these challenges, through design and architecture, proper planning, let's say. What are some of those challenges that you see for Istanbul, the future of Istanbul as well?
Yeah, very very interesting thing to compare. I think Istanbul is located on a very strange geography. I mean, you are not supposed to do a metropole on this kind of
on
geography.
This geography, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have hills, like it's divided in many different pieces. You know, the Bosphorus and Haliç and so on, the Golden Horn, and it's hard to bring water. hard to build infrastructure. So if you look at it from the beginning, you are not supposed to build anything on this,
Yes.
any kind of major
But it
city.
happens to be there
Yeah,
and grow by
yeah,
itself.
yeah. Yeah, I think the city morphology is quite exciting. Like, this is so unique. I mean, you will travel around the world, and like you will love a lot of the city beautiful projects like Paris, Milano, Rome,
Yeah, I've
Florence.
been there. Yeah.
Yeah, the Barcelona. You will love those cities, but Istanbul is like not completely designed by human. It's a lot of it's a lot of nature.
Organic growth.
Yes, it's a lot of nature, organic. It's not designed. I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And that's the curse of it also. So since it's not designed, like it doesn't work in a lot of the cases. Yeah, I mean, you want to get I think the efficiency of the metropole is very important. Like you want to get to places very quick, which is not the case in Istanbul. That would be the case. But I think like a lot of metropole cities, people are kind of going against the flow. They're happy to go against the flow. So whatever the reason, they'll go against the flow and like make things work. And the New York, I mean, I think there must be a lot of podcasts talking about the New York. But from my perspective, from the social point of view, I really like the feeling that people are, you will meet very interesting people. So those are a lot of people coming all around from the world, and like they're wanting to up their game, try different things, get to know the other people and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not, I've been to different cities. I've been to Berlin and, a lot of European cities. So I don't think it's the case all around the world. In New York, you go up to a certain person with an idea that is going to work for both parties, and they'll be interested to, for the adventure. So people are into adventure. So that's what I liked about New York. And the city obviously has a tremendous subway system. It's so incredible. Like they combine different cars in the same line. They will have express lines in the same tracks and stuff. So it's a very complex system, and it's built years ago. It's not, they haven't changed anything, and they just maybe added a couple of lines. Other than that, that's like the old city, and the compact feeling, like the Istanbul. You can really walk to different places. That's beautiful. Like you need to kind of work out or keep up your sports somehow in another city. New York is gonna do that for you. So you just walk different blocks, subway, and combine it with walk. It's gonna be it. You already have a nice feeling starting the day.
Yeah, nice. Good to see. Good to know about these aspects of the big cities, and also of course Istanbul.
They're different.
Yeah,
but
they're different.
They're like very condensed cities. Yes. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes. One aspect that I like about Istanbul, it's spread around the land, and it's not super dense. There are dense areas in Istanbul as well. But when you go to places like London, New York, people are super dense, skyscrapers focused just in one place, all of them, hundreds of them. And city-wise, city planning-wise, I don't know how wise it is to do that, but it can be interesting, of course. It can be nice to focus everything in one area, but Istanbul gives you the sense of you can explore the city. There are so much in the city that you can go and see. There's so much to experience, to visit, and this spreadness in both continents. It just gives you this feeling that there's more of the city. And I don't know. I haven't been in New York yet, but this is just a basic feeling, and that's what I think about New York. But in Istanbul, when I go to except Barcelona, when I was in Berlin, when I was in Paris, other cities as well. But I think I loved Istanbul. It has this warmness, it has this closeness to each other. But Barcelona was different completely. I loved Barcelona. We loved to walk inside Barcelona for hours. Even we wouldn't feel like we walked 2 hours, or we wouldn't feel like tired. But I think in that sense, Istanbul is also a little bit close to Barcelona, rather than just being just a useless metropole city.
Yeah. I mean, together with the seaside, I think it becomes a completely different thing. And the sea, I think we are supposed. I don't know. Maybe it comes from our and our historic ancestors. When the city is together with the water, it kind of have this kind of really interesting feeling. I think you just don't want to be, like you said, only a productive city. You live for certain feelings. So I think it's a good combination.
So what about technology? What about AI? What do you think about the emergence of AI in architecture? Where are we now?
I think it's gonna be great for architecture. The AI is gonna be definitely amazing for architecture. I hope it catches up as soon as possible. I've seen a lot of prop tech companies working on layout planning, the FAR planning, the massing, the preliminary studies and stuff. So I've seen those couple of examples that do that in a basic level. I think we need more of those because architecture is inherently underworked. Underworked meaning there's so much to do in architecture. Any help, any technological help, we need to utilize it 100%. So AI could make a lot of change. I mean, imagine a car production is kind of a the largest scale industrially produced object, and there'll be thousands of engineers working on the project. It's gonna be like tens of 20s of different iterations. They will come up with new innovation every year, and tremendous amount of focus and background, technical background, which we don't have in architecture. Every time we start over, and like everything is different at each case, and bunch of lovely invested architects are gonna try to make it beautiful as much as they can. But there's so much disparity between the amount that the architecture would originally need to make it perfect and what we have available today. So I hope the AI comes up with some missing parts in between.
Let's say, do you think architecture can be automated?
Automated completely?
Maybe this is a very general question, but on what percentage an architect's job could be done by a bot or a robot, or starting from those repetitive tasks, revisions, layouts, and these stuff, those ones could be definitely automated. But on what percentage do you think an architect's job could be automated?
Yeah, great question.
Because it also has creativity. Sorry to interrupt. It also has creativity inside, needs to understand environment, understand client, understand the vernacular stuff, understand the sustainability. On what stage, on what percentage can these solved with a technology or a bot or with AI?
What I see happening today
is it scary?
is maybe in the worst way it is happening. So some students would go do AI, ask AI how to design, come up with this new building, and they would go draw that.
Yeah.
It's like complete opposite of what we should have been doing. Like And AI usually comes up with some. I still see it as a kind of a search engine more than a creative resource. It combines really nicely very interesting content, but it wouldn't come up with completely novel ideas. I think that is still in. I don't think that's gonna change very
Yeah.
easily. I think
Yeah.
we still need to, as architects, as designer, really need to look at creatively, find interesting ways to bring value into
Mm-hmm.
projects.
Mm-hmm.
Not AI design and you go through that. I think you kind of come up with strategies, and then AI should be able to come up with certain techniques to build it.
Yeah, of course. The point that you mentioned about the search engine. Yesterday, I had a conversation with AI architect, not AI architect, but his name is Hassan Ragab, and his work in AI or creating visuals and conceptual ideas with AI is quite famous. And we're gonna add the link so people can watch. He said, when I'm working with AI, one of these AI tools, I feel like I'm talking the whole humanity's experience and a collective mind that is there and knows everything and everyone's design, everyone's style, everyone's experience. And when I'm talking to him or it, I feel like I'm talking to entire human history. And I think it's a good point that uh, we can definitely get the advantages of using AI in much better ways. The creative industry is one of them, and also there are other things in architecture. Uh, AI can be a solution for it, and we have so much repetitive stuff that doing. We have so much boring things that we are doing over and over again, and it could solve so many aspects of architect's job.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you have this sensibility really when you're talking to AI.
Yeah.
It's like it has this kind of collective know-how, but I think that also uh, comes with the feeling that is a collective mind of the visible stuff.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so
Measurable stuff, let's
yeah, you
say.
want yeah,
Visible.
and I've been to, like, we have been working on a strategic design for New Tashkent City uh, about a year by now, um, and we have seen such architecture in locations. So it was kind of Soviet architecture inspired by local ornamental culture. They were so amazing. Like, you guys should also, you might like those architecture
I'll
also.
check that
It was
out.
really interesting. And there's no single online image, no web image. There's no book about the structures. And by the time we were there, like, they were tearing down a couple of those. So we kind of were advisors. I was kind of an advisor, so we wanted to kind of save a couple of those. But I'm sure there are like hundreds of things that's lost all around the world every year that
Wow.
we don't know, that wouldn't reflect to the popular media or to online resources. And if it is not online, I don't think AI is gonna know about that.
Yes,
So
unfortunately. This is a bug. This is a missing point in AI.
yeah. So I think there's a lot beyond the AI coverage, and I think good design usually relates to finding that's not obviously visible kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of room for creativity for human, a lot
Of
still.
course. I mean, creativity is very important. And all the human advancements on AI, technology, computer science, and AI is based on the discovery of how discoveries in biology, discoveries on how human brain works, or how these neurons interact with each other. And based on that, we're building artificial neural networks, and yeah, simulations of human brain gives us the possibility that we can do with AI. But yes, there's also things that we have less data maybe on forgotten architecture, forgotten civilizations, forgotten knowledge that is not out there. People might discover it, but there's no knowledge because it's not reflected in the media. And this is a great point that you mentioned. And we have to be aware of that for sure. For sure. Uh, uh, so moving ahead, uh, we talked about technology, we talked about education, we talked about geospace, and what's next for Salon Alper Derinbogaz? What are you looking for? What are the next steps or next projects that you look for?
Good question. We are in. I think we just had like last night. We together with Özge, she's here. We had a meeting with in LA for a client at 9 p.m. at night, and we were talking about the streetscape and how the house might relate to that kind of thing. So it felt really strange that being so distant from certain places, and then you still are able to practice in different locations. And I think that is becoming more exciting because when you look at we kind of question locality when you are practicing kind of, at least in the process of global being global architecture practice. uh, you might question the locality of your ideas, but I I'm feeling more and more it becomes more and more interesting when you look at from a certain distance. So everything is new. You'll notice certain things they wouldn't be aware of. I'm really enjoying that. So we have a couple of projects going on the West Coast, in East Coast also, meaning LA and New York, upstate. Couple of things. We have a nice thing coming up in Milano Design Week. Still confidential. Hope to have you there in Milan. Um, and the Istanbul City Museum, we are looking forward to see its evolution, and some other exhibition projects. So a lot of cultural projects are on the horizon, and we are very excited about those. And small or big projects, we are always finding interesting things inside. So that's kind of bits and pieces
Yeah.
about what's going on.
Yeah, great. And finally, as someone who has been in the industry in the last 15 years, probably, and as a designer, as an architect, what kind of advice would you like to share with young creatives?
Yes, right. Um, I think the profession is changing. It is. I think we need to be look out for the change. You asked about the students also, like uh, I don't think we are going to be able to practice the architecture as we have been doing. So maybe AI helps out. Maybe different techniques are going to be part of it. So um, we try to. I mean, architecture became so saturated. Like so many architects for so few interesting architecture jobs. We kind of left out a huge chunk of surrounding interesting professions, from development to finance, or like you are doing the editorial, the teaching, and the education editorial contents and stuff. I think there's great variety of things that is very interesting. Architecture is more becoming more of I do it better than you kind of profession, rather than I bring this value into table. I know you are doing great job, and this I love your architecture, and then I bring this value into the table. So I would probably recommend looking at other areas. But if you are dedicated, you feel talented. I mean, a lot of us, a lot of the new generation probably feel talented about what they're doing. But if you want to embrace the architecture practice in the traditional sense, um, you definitely want to be seeking ways of productive creative development. So how do you, I think it's a lot to work on yourself rather than uh, like specific architecture. How do you constantly create architecture and be let it go with the flow of the practice? I think that that could be interesting
Yeah, no,
to
that's a great
discover.
point. And I think this is a huge challenge in architecture, that we're just replicating the same stuff that other people are doing, and new people come and they just continue the same path, and there's nothing new. And there are a couple of, yes, creative practice companies and firms that are really adding so much values, but other than that, 99% are copy pasting the same thing, and there's no creativity inside, and there's so much room to explore different ideas and be open. And instead of competing with each other, and competition is sometimes good, but for the sake of competition, don't just destroy the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think your underlying.
Yes.
I want to be more transparent with your.
Yes. Go on.
I want to be explicit about what you are saying. So architects are doing a lot of harm to a lot of other architects, especially in the
Yes.
young generation, because they would work for lower fees. They would maybe give a less detailed design proposal and so on, just to get things
Yes.
going.
Yes. I know.
And I think this is really harming architecture. Like it is, it's kind of a rat race. Nobody can win
Yes.
in this kind of competition. But if we were able to kind of populate and be bring the same creativity into different areas, maybe we will come up with creative finance strategies or creative ways of developing new projects and making home for homeless people, for example. I'm sure there are ways. Like if you look at it, every problem has a solution, and architects has this extremely interesting creative drive. We have like one of the best education in comparison to all the other areas. It's amazing. Like we are great at problem solving. So if we are not fixated on the same thing, I think there's a lot we can bring into the world. I
Of
think
course.
that's maybe the next thing coming up for
Of course. Of
architecture.
course. Hopefully, if we have that, if we had that union, that uh, we could help each other rather than just compete, having a not constructive competition. Non-constructive competition is very bad, but constructive competition is good most of the times. But instead of competing with each other, having that reunion that could help the industry much more better, and yeah, help the world much more better. And there's no still right now a single uh, unified ideas about, there are a bunch of, yes, of course, certificates or these kind of unified ideas about sustainability, and unified ideas how we're going to do how we're going to take care of these emissions in architecture. There are a bunch, but I'm not sure they're all working for the whole world. But yes, there are ideas that we have to come together and accept these different ideas and move towards much better design practice and industry. Well,
Yeah, I'm curious for what is to come. I have seen more and more people, architects in different fields, and I have seen some of them as my clients, also like my former students and stuff. And it's not. I think it has a lot of creative potential
of
in
course,
different fields.
of course. Well, thank you so much, Alpar, for stopping by, and this is nice to have a conversation with you. We're gonna end. If there's nothing that if there's nothing else that you want to add to the podcast as a message, as a something that you want to share with people, if not, we're gonna end the conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great to talk to you. I mean, yeah, keep we try to um, we try to help the young generation all the time. So
Of course.
anyone has a question, you probably have our communication. I think architecture works best in connection, starting with the geospaces idea, the eco spaces, and non-hierarchical strategies. I mean, we are always open to communicate and connect with people. So happy to have questions coming up or anything we can engage.
Of
We'll
course.
be
Thank you.
happy to relate.
Thank you so much. And thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Nice.